Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if this is your first time here, hi. My name is Carrington. I love books, I love makeup, I love buying books, I love reading books, I love buying makeup, I love testing makeup, I love playing in makeup. If those are things that you enjoy as well, or maybe if you just enjoy one over the other, does not matter, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Click the little bell so you'll be notified whenever I post a makeup video, a book video, one of them, all of them, doesn't matter. Go ahead, join. But anyways, hey, if this is not your first time here, you guys frequently are here. Hi, welcome back. I've missed you. I always miss you. I love interacting with you guys in the comments. I know sometimes I might be a little bit radio silent. Listen, we're trying to make our way here. This is not my full-time job, okay? I work for other jobs, but I have missed you. I have missed you, and let's go ahead and let's delve on into today's video, where I'm going to be ranking and reviewing the last 5 books that I have read. That is right. I'm going to try to blow through these. Sometimes I feel like I can really get to talking. Okay, I just like to talk sometimes. Sometimes I have some adult evasions before I film because I have some social anxiety. So sometimes after that, I'm hyped. I'm hyped. So if you guys are excited to see what the last 5 books are that I read, how I would rank them, the review, the overall arch of them, then definitely keep on watching. Coming in at number 5, but don't let this book fool you just because you think that this is number 5, that this was not good. This was indeed very good. This is The Gift by FRIEDA McFadden. If you don't know who FRIEDA McFadden is, if you have never read her, if you have never tested her out, I 1000% recommend that you do. She is amazing. You will sometimes read her books and think you know what's going to happen, or you might be like, oh, well, I don't know. I think I know what's going to happen, so I bet you it's the opposite. So then you think, well, I bet you it's this. And you might half be right, or you might be completely and totally wrong. And you're going to be floored at the end. I'm always floored at the end. But anyways, this book is only like 45 pages long. But a lot happens. So this follows Stella. A woman... Oh, I forgot to say this. I'm going to preface this. Check trigger warnings for any books because I will read some things that have some really like messed up features, things that like might make you uneasy. So check trigger warnings. Not all the books I read do, but again, check trigger warnings. All right, here we go. So this follows Stella. Stella is a woman who just got married to the love of her life. So she thinks, of course, you know, he could be, he could not be. I don't know. The love of her life. But he is in law school and he had to quit his job so he could focus on law school. And so that leaves her a teacher needing to then pick up another job because we don't pay our teachers enough. We just don't. Okay? I don't make the rules. We don't. And so she works at a diner where sometimes the tips aren't that great. She's working Christmas Eve. She's so excited to get home so she can spend her first Christmas. Granted, they said no gifts. But then she gets a text from her husband that says, oh, I can't wait to get home. I have a surprise for you. Let me just tell you, the surprise that he has for her literally is, it's awful. It's so awful. It's so awful. Maybe you guys might think it's nice. But honestly, if she's out there working 2 jobs and working late, I don't know why why he would be so excited to do this for her. Because this should be a given. But okay, that's just me. All right, anyways. It's the end of the night. It's the end of the shift. It's getting late. She can't wait to go home and celebrate Christmas. But now she's nervous because now she thinks that her husband has gotten her a gift after they had said no gifts, and she wants to really surprise him and really make their first Christmas special. But what is she going to do? She just doesn't have the money because she is spending all of her money on bills. So lucky for her, or maybe not so lucky, the last person that's in her diner is this lady who runs this pawn shop, and she's willing to make deals with people. So she goes to this pawn shop, and magically enough, this pawn shop lady knows just the gift to get her husband. Right? She just has to do one thing in exchange. One thing in exchange. And she does. She does indeed. She doesn't have to spend a dime for her husband for this magical gift that she knows her husband's going to love. But she does have to make the ultimate sacrifice. However, she gets home and things go super downhill when she gets home and sees her husband's suitcase packed and realizes that he didn't buy her a gift but did something that he probably should have done anyway, since he's not working and he's out because he's not in law school right now, right? They're out on break. It's Christmas break, winter break, right? He's only in like his first year, second year of law school. So yeah, he's not doing anything big. But anyways, whatever. What do I know? But she reappears the next day asking to return the item that she bought for him, and leaves with something to cover up what she had turned in, what she had to do to pay or trade for this watch. And even though this is 45 pages, this is packed with a lot of drama. It is in last place because, again, there's just not a lot of character development. I really felt like there could have been more character development, but really it's a 45-page book. Like, there can't be that much character development, but for 45 pages, a lot happens. A lot. In fourth place is this prequel book. I have not read any of the others. I don't own any of the others to this large series. Apparently there's like 20 books, 22 books, 18 books, something like that. It's a lot. In addition to like this book. And this is called Don't Look Back. Basically, this is a prequel. It kind of leads about how like this sheriff, I think is what she's called. Sheriff. Yeah, she's a sheriff. How the sheriff gets to where she is and gets to be as successful as she is. But before that, she was not Jenna Alton, sheriff of this small town. Before that, she was DEA Avril Parker, and she was undercover to bust a drug ring with her husband, and not just a drug ring. Again, trigger warnings. There's also some children rings in this as well that she's trying to bust. She experiences a lot of heartache. However, when you bust a major drug lord, just because he's gone does not mean that the people that were in that drug ring are also caught and that they're happy that he's gone. Oh no. So that puts her life at risk. So they fake her death and make her Jenna Alton, where she goes to this really teeny tiny, never heard of town to become sheriff. And it just kind of like talks about how like she gets to this town and how she, I mean, obviously it talks about like her busting the drug lord, all the things that she went through trying to do this, how she frees herself. And then it talks about how she gets to this town and she's not the sheriff yet, right? She has to earn her way with election because the other sheriff had just recently died. But she makes a name for herself by solving a case and really standing up for victims of domestic violence. So good for her. Good on her. All right, but she has to solve a whole mystery and hope that she doesn't die along in the process. Obviously, she doesn't, right? She doesn't, because how's there a whole other series? And this prequel was made after some of the other books had already been made in that series. But anyways, it's good. It's decent. I really liked how it talked about like some hot button issues, busting a drug ring, child ring, and domestic violence. Those are good topics to talk about. But again, I'm kind of like, it wasn't like wowing. This book didn't really bring out a whole lot of emotions in me like some of the other books really did. But again, it's a good book. It's a solid book. If that's something you like, mysteries, you like cracking cases, that will be a really good option for you. Number 3 then is going to be The Cellar by John Nichol. Now, this was really well written. So this was written really well. I really like how it's like from the perspective of both the victim and the serial killer instead of like just one. I like how it goes back and forth. So this talks about Gub, who leaves his profession as a nurse after he wins the lottery so he can build a home out in the middle of nowhere where he can soundproof it all, bury all these bodies, because he usually goes after prostitutes, homeless people, people that society doesn't really seem to deem as valuable. Not my words, because I think everybody's valuable, but like, I mean, just like as a whole, like a lot of people don't want to invest a lot of the time and energy into those types of people, and they always think that like whatever, they're not usually missing. Like if you ever like look at like actual serial killers, like Mr. Hansen up there in Alaska, how he went after prostitutes for years, and the only reason he was caught is because one escaped. And it took a long time for them to even believe her or even care enough about her case to even stop him, right? Like, that's just the unfortunate reality of it. And it talks about that in this book, how, like, he knows that, like, nobody cares if they go missing or not. Like, okay. All right. So anyway, so I just like how it goes back and forth. But then he falls in love with Lucy. Lucy is an artist. She's an aspiring artist. She's successful. She teaches at a college, a high-level college, a very classy college. And he wants to make her his, but not necessarily in a murdery way. No, there's something really special about her. And he talks about what makes her so special. But yet, you know, he can't just take her and make her his wife. So he kidnaps her. And he very methodically like plans this out. And it's so interesting how he plans it out. I think what really like saddens me about this book is honestly, he could have gotten away with it. He could have. I would have liked to have seen like if he did. But then of course, you know, magically somebody is just like, oh yeah, I worked with him and he said some really weird things. I think it's him. And it's just like, okay, I guess, whatever. But like he had disguises. He had a vehicle that, it was very, very well like thought out, like how he could have gotten away with it for like so long. But then of course, you know, it's like, oh, he's got to be caught. Well, is he really caught? You'll have to read the end. Again, check trigger warnings. Check trigger warnings if you have any. If you don't have any like me, this was good. This was very well written, but you will see the ending coming. Like, you know. That puts us at number 2. Yes. Number 2, Go Ask Alice by Anonymous. This is such a good book. So this is actually like real. This is about a girl, and this is her diary. This is literally her diaries, because there's multiple. And it just like talks about how she was like this once like star student, star daughter, and how successful she was, and how much she was loved and cherished, and how just instantly drugs just overcame her life, and what happened after she started doing drugs, and how she was trying to do better and trying to overcome this drug addiction, and then how she would just like slip back into it, and how it was like it was hurting her, it was hurting her family, and how much she wanted to be different. And you could just tell like just how much she wanted to be different. But when she was high or doing the drugs, then she would talk about like, I don't understand why drugs are so bad, like they make you feel so good. But then after she would sober up and see like the terrible things that were happening, she so badly wanted to change that. And it was just the circumstances, and how she couldn't escape, and how she couldn't leave. And the ending is just, it's so sad, it's so gut-wrenching. But if you have ever had somebody that has struggled with addiction, or a child that has struggled with addiction, or watched a friend struggle with addiction while in school, I think this is really, really eye-opening, because there's so many ways besides somebody. It's just like the way that like the people that got her into drugs, how they described it to her, how they made like the drugs seem, and like, oh, it's not really life-changing, people think it's bad, but they're not. And when she's high, she's like, yeah, these aren't bad. But then afterwards, like, she's noticing like how it's ruining her life. And you know, trying to make changes, if you don't have certain things in place, and you don't have the help that you need, and you don't have the way to the ability to move away and move on with your life, that it's just like a constant vicious cycle. And when you're a child living with parents, you don't just get to up and leave whenever you want, right? It's a very good, very powerful book. I would say I would definitely check this out if you haven't. But again, trigger warnings if substance abuse triggers you, if you have ever struggled with addiction, you still struggle with addiction, you know, reading about people taking drugs, things like that, this may not be for you. But if you have ever wanted to get into like the legit mind of somebody that is on drugs, because this is literally her life story. Like this, after the ending happens, or she gets older, or she dies, or she moves out, or she goes back to doing drugs, or whatever the case may be. I'm not going to ruin the ending. I think it's just something that's really powerful, and I think this could really open up like good conversations to have with your kids, or loved ones, or things like that, about how like, yeah, these drugs are going to seem amazing and life-changing, and these drugs are going to, you know, potentially make you feel good, but there are consequences to that, you know. And hopefully opening up that conversation, and maybe, you know, if you're struggling with it, maybe this could be a good eye-opener for you as well. You know, I just think it's a really, really good book to really maybe help people understand drug addiction as more than just, well, they tried it, that was their choice. Like, they keep making that choice, and they're There's more to it than that, and I think this really hits on that. I thought that was a really good book. Island of the Dolls by Jeremy Bates. Island of the Dolls is about, it's a literal place in down south Mexico area, where it's believed to be like a haunted island, and you have to like bring dolls to like appease the spirit that lives there. And not a lot of people want to stay there, things like that. You know, it's haunted. And so with this book, there's a group of friends. It's a brother and his girlfriend, the brother's sister and her boyfriend, and like somebody that it like does stuff for like the Travel Channel, you know, like does vlogs or whatever you want to call it. Anyways, so they are like paid by the Travel Channel to go and like film and talk about the island and see if anything creepy happens, like ghost hunting type of thing. So they go there, and then they notice like there's somebody else on the island, and they talk about Don Solano, who is like attributed to like taking on this like girl, and it talks about her. But like this book had me with like so many emotions. I snap my best friend whenever I'm reading a book, and like I talk about like the updates of like my book, because she doesn't really like to read. She hates reading, but she loves like the books that I read, because to her it's like a movie, so she just likes hearing about them, but she just can't like physically sit still and like read something. So I will like snap her, and I would be like crying, or I would be scared, or I would be like, well, what's happening? Or I would be like, oh my gosh, you're not gonna believe this. Or I would be like, yay, or you know, like good things are happening. And then, you know, it would be like a circle all the way through. It was so good. And it does talk about the island, it talks about the history, but then, you know, it talks about like there's like a drama between the friends, there's drama on the island. The ending is like, it's like bittersweet, but like it's so sad at the same time. And oh man, it's so good. If you want a book that is, I wouldn't necessarily say you would need like a ton of trigger warnings. There is a little bit, there is some like child abuse that is mentioned, but I think that like that's like so important for the story. So, but like other than that, it, you know, that would be about the only like trigger warning, but I think it's like an important trigger warning. And I don't want to say it's like brutal or anything like that, but like it's just, this was so good, so many emotions. Honestly, if you have not checked out anything by Jeremy Bates, please do, because he is so good. And the amount of research and time and effort that he puts into the book, and puts into the research, and puts into the experience of reading his books is so good. I love science. I love science. I love like dark history, like Bailey Sarian's Dark History. Love that, because it's just so good. So I love all of those. So the fact that like he does so much research into his books to like add all of those like bits of details that are true, make it that much more creepy and like realistic. It's really good. It's so good. I recommend this. This is a book I will take no criticism on. Okay. None. So that is ranking the last 5 books that I read. I loved them seriously so much. I thought they were all really good, really decent books. Let me know down in the comments like what books you have read recently. What books would you recommend for me to read? Literally, I have like a to be read list like 20 miles long. So let me know like books you think I should check out. Whether you'd be like, well, I really like romance or fantasy, and you didn't mention any of those really. So I wouldn't recommend. Just let me know what you recommend. I will read literally anything, and it might already be something I have on my shelves to be read. So that might help out, and I'm always buying new books. It doesn't matter that I have like 500 to be read. It doesn't matter. So I'm just going to keep buying books anyways. Like, I don't know what there is to tell you. I'm just saying. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed this video, definitely give this video a thumbs up. If you love makeup, if you love like my makeup look, I do makeup looks like this quite often, testing out new makeup, things like that. Make sure you guys subscribe, hit the little bell, leave a comment down below, give this video a thumbs up. Just do all the things. Do all the things. And honestly, go check out a book. Go read a book. Just sit there and just start reading a book. Honestly, I would totally recommend Jeremy Bates' Island of the Dolls. Great place to start. Great place to start, and I won't accept any criticism. But I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.